A woman in the desert has finally found a precious source of water, but she doesn't rush to hydrate her body. She puts it on the roof of her car and poured it all over the top, and when she was done, she picks up the dead branches on the ground and put them with the hay and lit it with a lighter. She tried to use the smoke to make the car detect the smoke and open the windows automatically, but instead of doing that, the car's only ventilation system shut down. And then her son, who was locked in the car, he fainted due to the rising temperature. In a panic, the woman rushed to get half a bucket of water to put out the fire. Then she put her coat over the window to protect her son from the sun. But even so, the temperature inside the car continued to rise. But what's even more frightening, the desert is full of hungry wild dogs. If you're not careful, you'll be torn to pieces. The woman sees this. She picks up a wrench from the floor to scare the dogs away, but this provokes the dogs. In a moment of desperation, the woman tried to climb on top of the car to avoid the attack, but the car is too hot. She could only get underneath the car. Using a wrench, she tries to fight with the dog, but the dog soon realizes what's going on. It comes up behind the woman. It bites her on the thigh. The pain was excruciating. The woman was in agony, but just when she thought she was about to be killed by the dog, the wild dog suddenly gave up its attack on her. Watching the wild dog was attracted to the deer she ran over last night, the woman breathed a sigh of relief, and then she pushed the carcass out with a wrench to get the dogs to leave the carcass. But as soon as the carcass was pushed out of the car, as soon as the body was pushed out from underneath the car was heading towards the cliff behind her. The woman rushed to the back of the car and tried to stop it with her body, but the car is too heavy under the effect of inertia. No matter how hard the woman tried, she couldn't stop the car from going backwards. At the critical moment, the wheels of the car were caught by a rock on the side of the road. They were lucky to escape, but unfortunately, they spent a lot of time fighting with the dingo. Their son, who was trapped in the car, has gone into a state of shock. Looking at her dying son, the woman had to hold back her fear. She walked to the wild dog, and without saying a word, she roared at it. Looking at the tigress, who was even more ferocious than herself, the wild dog began to doubt his own identity, so it put down the fat meat in its mouth and left the place without a trace, while the woman took advantage of the wild dog's departure, quickly picked up the wrench on the ground. But she didn't use the wrench to break the window. She smashed the rock that was stuck under the wheel. Then she walked slowly to the front of the car and pushes it towards the edge of the cliff so that the car can detect the danger. The purpose is for the car to detect the danger and activate the emergency mode. When she reached the edge of the cliff, the woman was hesitant about whether it would work, but in the face of her son's life, she had no other choice. She had no choice but to push the car down. As she watched the car plummet from the sky, the woman's heart was also tense. Luckily, the car detected the danger. It triggered the safety mode. The car's decompression device was activated. With a dull sound, the woman hurriedly climbed down the steep cliff. Even if she accidentally fell, she didn't dare to delay. But when she finally reached the car, she found her son was unresponsive to the impact. Looking at the child she had killed with her own hands, the woman finally realized how stupid her decision was. But just then, she suddenly realized that the door of the car was lit up with a blue light. The woman rushed to open the door and took her baby boy out of the car and rushed to the shade and undressed him to cool him down. But unfortunately, her son didn't wake up. But just when she was in despair, the sound of a car behind her suddenly caught her attention. So she rushed her son into the car and quickly pressed the start button to get to a nearby hospital. But not far from there, they were blocked by a steep slope. Thinking that her son might still have a chance, she didn't hesitate to activate the car's off-road mode. As the suspension raised the car chassis, the woman puts the car into 10th gear. She pushed the gas pedal towards the near vertical slope, despite the hard boulders on the slope. But the woman didn't slow down at all. She kept the car at full speed. Luckily, the woman's driving skills were very good. Eventually, she made it to the flat road, and her son, under the emergency treatment of the hospital, miraculously woke up.